Talk to me about the school where you're currently teaching. Tell me about the school.
Yeah, as earlier said, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher in a school here in Kenya, St. Mary's Night Girls in Trans Nzoia County, Enebe Sub-County. It is a girls' school in the far end of Trans Nzoia County. This is a school that is located in a village setup. And the school where I teach is a place where I can say most of the people around that place are squatters, because the main area is land owned by the Kenyan government, the ADC farms. So most of the children around there come from those parents who are squatters in those farms, and they just do those small casual work in those ADC farms, the Agricultural Development Corporation farms, owned by the government. So most of them, I can say poverty is to the maximum, I can say, if that is correct, the correct way I can put it is poverty to the maximum. And I've been there for the last 6 years now. And it is a place where I can say it has challenged my heart so much, because this is a place where girls don't see beyond being a wife. Girls don't see anything good coming out of education. And we don't blame them for that. It's because of the environment. That is how the environment has pushed them to believe. That is not the reality, but the environment has pushed them to believe that you go to school, after school, get a man, get you pregnant, give birth to children, go to the farms. What you can do is to harvest as a casual laborer, harvest there. After you harvest, most of the time they're not even paid. Most of the time they're just given, you're given a tin of maize as payment. So you see that kind of a life, that is because they saw their parents doing that, and they believe that that is the best they can do. I remember when I was very new in that place, and I think the motivation in me made me ask them, what do you want to become after this? And they told me, madam, we have nothing else to do after this. After all, we have farms around here. They don't ask for any good certificate. All they need is that as long as you come to Form 4, then they give you work as a casual laborer. We also have a flower farm. Just not very far from that, we have they're called Mount Elgon flower farms. They grow flowers and export them. They also want casual laborers. So their mind is fully saturated with the flower farms and the ADC farms where they grow maize. So they don't see anything beyond that, such that when they come to school, they are all relaxed, because they know, after all, there's nothing much I'm looking for. I've just come here to go through the system. When the Kenyan government said, they come up with the idea of 100% transition, whereby every student who has done the class standard 8 exam, primary level, all of them automatically have to transit to the secondary level. So they are there because the government said you have to go, but given chance, they will not. So they're there to go through the system because the government says you have to do it. And after that, they don't see any brighter future. I remember one time I also asked some of them, have you ever closed your eyes and seen yourself driving a good car? And they asked me, from where? Because they don't see, they can't even imagine themselves doing that. Ask this girl, ask these students of mine, can you close your eyes and see yourself eating even just good food apart from the normal ugali and the local, I don't know how to, I don't know which better word. We have some bush plants that they take as veggies. And you ask them, can you see anything different from that? Seeing a good setup on your table, eating something good. And they say that is something we can never think of. Early pregnancies in the school where I teach is the norm of the day. So there's no time you'll come and find a zero case of early pregnancies. Every other year, we get cases of early pregnancies, and the reason is because of poverty. Not that it is their making, but it's because of poverty. Most of them, they do it as a result of poverty. They say, I have no food. So what the best I can do is I get this person who can give me 100 shilling, almost something equal to, I can say almost $1. Just $1 is she's given just because of hunger, and they fall into the trap. They are pregnant. Children are sired out of wedlock, and there are so many of them. And that is how, so that poverty will never come to an end, because once they get pregnant, they drop out of school. The best they can do is now go to those farms and work as casual laborers. The same place where I teach is a place where, as I've said, poverty is to the maximum. Fees issues is a problem. Getting money to pay, because the parents are not being paid salary. They are casual laborers, so they work from hand to mouth. So many of them drop out of school because of fees problems, very small issues like even sanitary towels. I think you've seen you've seen me doing some campaigns of the sanitary towels. It's because some of them end up, because of that small pack, that's something that may look very small, but some of the girls don't afford them. It's not very expensive, but they can't afford it. So that's why I've been trying to do that campaign of buy a pad, keep a girl in school, trying to make sure that let them not be lured into early pregnancies just because of a single pack of a sanitary towel, because it's only one pack per month. So that is also a challenge that is faced so much in the place where I teach. But I love the place because I think it has ignited my purpose in me, because that is the best place where I've been able to inspire girls and I've seen them grow. Recently, I've been talking to one who is now a police officer, and she was telling me, I'm happy that you talked to me and I'm now a police officer. She told me, any other time you pass by my town, make sure you say hi to me, because you inspired me to be the best I can. And that really touched my heart, because at least I'm seeing fruits of the work that I've done. So it is a place where I can say I've loved to be, because it makes me, I can also say, realize my full potential, because it has given me the ground to inspire the young girls. It is a purely girls' school. It has given me the ground to inspire more of them, and I'm hoping that, given chance and the more time I'm with those girls, I'm going to ensure that I change and transform the lives of so many of them the best that I can.
Wow. So, I had the privilege of attending your school, visiting your school a few months ago, and a few things that really caught my attention. And you talk about those sanitary pads. What I didn't notice, that there were men in the group with us from Kenya, but none of them would step forward to hand out those pads. Is there a reason why, to the girls?
Okay. In Kenya, in the local tradition, the issues of the menstrual periods and the sanitary towels, those are issues that men really fear to handle. They really fear to talk about. They take it as female issues that men don't come out clearly to even talk about it. Most of even the parents, I remember when most of the time when we are interacting with the parents and you tell them your daughter needs this, they tell you, no, those are things for ladies, don't tell me about that. They don't even mention, leave alone even holding that thing, not even to mention that word from their mouth. It is something that they believe this is a female thing, and they're supposed to be only handled, not even mentioned by only female. That's why you could see that most of the men, our African men, don't, very few of them, they are changing their mind recently, but most of those who hold the old tradition, they cannot even handle it. They cannot, even a parent who holds that cannot even go out and buy for the daughter and say that I've bought you this, I know you need it. They will not even, and even girls, because the way we are brought up, it is something that we are told it is a female affair. So you cannot even go out and tell your dad, this is what I need. So you just find a way of covering it up and say, I need money for what? You cannot even explain. And that's why some of them, They cannot even stand up clean and say, this is what I need. It is normal, because it is a normal biological process. So most of our men have not embraced that. And even us as ladies, we have some who cannot even come out very clearly and boldly and say, this is normal and I need this. It is helpful to me. I remember there was a case, I think it was last year, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, last year. There was a girl who was, just because of the shame that she was shamed by others because of that menstrual period, she committed suicide. Why? Because she just soiled her cloth, and the others laughed at her because they believed she has done something very bad. So instead of covering her up and saying, this is a mess that has happened, we can cover it up, they laughed at her. And they put it in a very bad way, that the girl felt like she had done a very bad mistake. What happened after that? Because of that shame, she went and committed suicide. So it is something that I think our African setup made it as a female affair, something that you cannot talk about it openly, something that is just supposed to be hidden somewhere and nobody should see it. So I think that is why you saw that scenario like that.
Well, as the father of two daughters with sisters, I was in the line handing those pads out, and I recall I was a little bit shy at one point because I didn't see other men doing it, but I recall you pushing me out there. And I don't know if it was intentional on your part, but I took a lot of pleasure in doing it, because I thought it was important for the young ladies to see that, you know, and open them up. So I hope that, my wish is that more men, the process will speed up and more men will step up and be more supportive, and even take it beyond support, you know, they take the initiative in doing this type of work, because indeed it's not just for women, it's for all of us to do it.
Very true.
Yeah. So you said something as well about the poverty level and women just knowing that in those schools, in your school at least, just know that this is it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else for them. You know, you go work in the fields, or it's a dead end type of situation. Is that a common thing in the rural areas of Kenya?
Yeah, it is a common thing in the rural areas in Kenya, because most rural areas, poverty is very high, because most of the people who try to go to school, they tend to get out of the rural areas and move to the urban areas in the name of, I'm going to seek for a job. So you find that the rural areas have been left, poverty being so high, because once people go to the urban areas, they forget about the rural areas. So poverty becomes very high. And those are most of the challenges that face those rural areas, whereby getting a meal is a problem, getting good housing is a problem. I think maybe next time when you come, when you go around and walk in the areas around, you'll find the places even where they live. I remember, I think when we were traveling to the school, there was a house that one of the members that we had was asking, is that a place where sheep sleep? And we told her, no, that is a house that somebody, because in real sense, when you look at that house, it looks like a place where sheep sleep. But unfortunately, that is the condition where most of the people in the rural areas live in. So poverty in the rural areas in Kenya is something that is very common. Missing a meal a day or two, I can say it's something like almost normal. The same example in the school where I teach, I have students who long to come to school, not because of studying, but because they know that at least in school, I can get something to eat. So they're just happy to come to school, not to study, but because they know once I'm in school, I'll get something for tea break, I'll get something at lunchtime. So when I go back home, at least my stomach is somehow full. I can sleep for the night and wake up again tomorrow very excited to go to school, because at least I'm sure I can get something. I remember most of the time when we are forced sometimes to send them home to get tuition fees, some of them will cry and say, no, let us not go, because when you go home, we have nothing. So they prefer staying in school, not because of studying, but because at least they can get some good shelter in school and they can get some good food in school. So poverty in the rural areas is something like very common, most of the rural areas in our country.
The schools become more than a place to learn.